Hello everyone, today we are taking a look at the upcoming Path of Exile 1 event, the Legacy of Phrecia, whatever it is. This event will be taking place from February 20th through March 23rd, and this event is looking like it is going to be one of the most interesting and fun events we've had in Path of Exile 1 in quite a while. This is because they are completely replacing all of the Ascendancies of PoE1 with new ones for the event, opening up an almost endless amount of possibilities when it comes to build design. I know there are some creators out there like Connor and some others that are already cooking up some insane builds within Path of Building, which if this is going to be your first time playing Path of Exile 1, you will probably become familiar with soon enough. This event is also based on the Settlers League, which in my opinion was one of the best leagues we've had in a while, as I really enjoyed the kingdom management system, and obviously it was a pretty rewarding league mechanic in comparison to some of the others we've had over the years, with people being able to self-farm multiple mirror shards, and with enough playtime, even full mirrors, pretty reliably compared to any other method in the game. Alright, so first let's take a look at some of the new ascendancies. I'm not going to go over each of them in detail as there's a lot of information to cover, but I will pop up each one on the screen quickly, and I'm sure there's some videos out there that go more into depth from people that have much more build knowledge than I do, as I'm somewhat of like a seasoned build copier at this point in my PoE career. I typically tend to just copy a build that I know I'll enjoy, and then I make small adjustments to it as I progress through the league. But with that being said, I'm going to pop these ascendancies onto the screen while I talk about builds in Path of Exile 1. Feel free to pause and read them if you wish, and I will leave a link in the description to the news post on Path of Exile's website if you want to read them there. So, if this is going to be your first time playing Path of Exile 1 or first time in a while, I personally would recommend that you check out build guides either before you start the league to get guidance on how building a character scales in PoE 1 as it is different than PoE 2, or once you hit a brick wall with your own build as this typically happens in PoE 1 for newer players. There's many different places to look for build guides, and normally I would suggest Poe.ninja. However, with all the new ascendancies being changed, builds will be different than the previous league, so I would recommend actually checking out the Path of Exile builds Reddit, which I will link in the description, as well as potentially even the Path of Exile forums. Once the league starts, however, I would assume that Poe.ninja will be able to incorporate the new ascendancies, although I'm not totally sure on that, so not 100%. It is important to note that if you're going to be using a build guide, pretty much every single build guide for PoE 1 these days has a link for a program called Path of Building, which does exist for PoE 2 now, except it is still sort of in an infancy phase in PoE 2. But importing a build into Path of Building is very simple and will give a much more detailed breakdown of the build and help in understanding the build much more than the in-game tooltip will. Many build guides incorporate notes into the Path of Building to make it easier for new players to understand as well. I know that Zizarin and many other creators do a fantastic job at this and make it very simple for newer players to understand how the build is working and what they need to get that next little jump in power. So definitely check out some of Zizarin's build guides. I'm sure he's going to be releasing many over the coming days and weeks. There's many useful websites and tools out there for Path of Exile 1 as it has been around for over a decade now, but I plan on making a separate video that goes over many of those tools and websites in the near future. However, the most useful ones I will say that you should definitely get are Awaken PoE Trade, which is a price checker exactly like Exiled Exchange 2 and PoE 2, as well as Path of Building, which we've already talked about. I will leave a link for these programs in the description as well. Wrapping up, I really think this event is going to breathe some much needed life into Path of Exile 1, as this game, I mean, seriously, this game is just a masterpiece at this point. It's been my favorite game for nearly 5 years at this point. Path of Exile 2 is amazing, and I had a great time playing it, but Path of Exile 1, I mean, it has 10 plus years of content, league mechanics, quality of life, and polishing that PoE 2 just doesn't have yet, and probably won't have for many more years to come. I'm excited to see what the community comes up with in terms of build design, and I plan on making many beginner-friendly videos about Path of Exile 1 during this event, ranging from money-making strategies to gambles to basic tutorials about currencies in the game and more stuff like that, so keep an eye out for those. With that being said, I am a little sorry about the sickness. I'm still overcoming it. You can probably hear it in my voice. Okay, so real quick, I added this in last minute because I forgot to include it, but here we are on the Path of Exile builds Reddit, and we found a thread with a Path of Building link for a Blind Prophet Lightning Arrow build, and you can see here we have this Poe.in link. If we go ahead and copy this and then head over to Path of Building, we can import it very easily in the import/export build section. There are other tabs here as well, but the import section is the one that we want. Go to the bottom here and paste the link and then click import, and bam, there's the build. Everything's in there. This will show you everything about the character, from the skill tree to the skills themselves to the items. And then you have the notes section up top where some creators leave useful information about the build. Also, keep an eye out for these little drop down menus on the tree, the skill panel, and the items panel, as people will make different trees and gear sets for the early game, mid game, and late game. That's basically all I wanted to show off real quick, but thanks for watching, and keep an eye on the channel for more PoE1 content in the near future. Thanks.